Hi, I'm Dennis.
And I'm Betsy.
We're here today to give you an update on our perspective of the future of home delivery and an overview of our upcoming annual innovation summit. Betsy, can't believe it's been already been 6 months since we've given this update to our community.
I know, and a lot's changed in the last 6 months.
A lot has. One of the biggest things I want to highlight is the fact that we've grown our community to almost 200 members across the country. And these members represent stakeholders from across the delivery chain, from dirt to dweller, as we say. And they've really allowed us to enhance our ability to identify, prioritize, and shine a light on innovation in the marketplace. This is great for us to then bring that back to the community and then challenge one another to do one step better.
Yeah, we find people who can highlight successes and fail forwards that they've had individually. And then I think really the magic happens when you get people together and we kind of compound those ideas with other experts in the community, really creating more actionable insights from what we end up hearing.
Right on. And the way we like to describe that is crowd accelerated innovation, right? Now, that's not our term, but we love to apply it to this methodology that we have within our community. Again, that idea of constantly challenging one another to do one better.
Absolutely.
Yep. And one thing I also want to do is make sure we thank our partners. This is a fantastic group of thought leaders that give us both intellectual and financial capital that make our programming possible throughout the course of the year. So without them by our side, none of what we do would be possible. So big thanks goes out to that entire team that leads the pack.
Yep.
Wow, love this one. Thanks for sneaking this one in. Who doesn't like a little Back to the Future? I think we've all seen this meme circulate around the internet, and if I think about it, yeah, maybe we wouldn't want to dial back, but a lot of good has come throughout this year, right?
Yeah, and I think that there's something to be said of innovation out of adversity, and a good kick in the ass kind of takes an industry that's somewhat slow to move and has really caused us to do a lot in such a short period of time. So it's kind of exciting.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. I mean, our industry came to a grinding halt and then we roared back. And when we did that, we were really forced to see some of the cracks in the system. I think we'll come out of this a lot stronger than when we went into it as both an industry and as individuals and organizations.
And I'll be glad to hear that year 2020 go away.
Fair enough. Now, this one I really like as well, and I think it resonates on a couple levels. So, one, this is what the organization has been all about since you co-founded it back in 2008, right? You come in to our organization thinking one way, and you leave thinking another in a much better position, right? And your mind has been stretched and expanded, and you've developed new relationships that allow you to really think differently. And I think as we look at what happened over the last 6 months, we've been forced to completely rethink the way we live, work, and play,
Absolutely.
identifying and reevaluating what's important in our life.
Absolutely. A lot of things have changed, and I think it's caused us to reset our priorities and get some things actually back in check over the last few months, which is a good thing.
Absolutely has. Absolutely has.
So, what hasn't changed is that we're always looking at what the future of home delivery looks like. And that's one of the main things that we want to share today. Really, in the next 5 to 7 years, how will the industry change and how will home delivery companies evolve really in three different channels? The business of delivering homes, the customer experience and how we engage customers and what our relationships look like with them. And then how do we manage the home delivery process from people to product to the process of delivering houses more efficiently and delivering a better product. So those are really the channels that we always like to look at, and those are evolving a bit. And we'll give you a sense, why don't you give us more of a sense of what we're looking at from a business perspective in the next 5 years or so?
Sure, happy to do it. So I think, at the core, we're responsible for providing housing for society, right? And that goes beyond single family for sale solutions. And I think so. What we're going to see is a continued advancement or evolution of existing business models. So we're going to see derivatives of those current models, and we're going to see the introduction of new models. The home as a service spectrum. Let's start with that. I think there's a huge potential to continue to see an expansion there. And the build for rent boom has really kind of emphasized this opportunity where we have a changing relationship with our home is no longer being just an asset to us.
Mhm.
I think there's also some things that we're going to see from developers further adopting the ideas of bigger infrastructure investments that would not make any sense at the individual builder level.
Yeah.
or subdivision level. And I think we're going to see more and more product manufacturers and participants in the supply chain getting involved in critical system leases, which will help to bring the overall cost of operation down and improve the performance while lessening the financial burden on consumers. And let's not forget data, right? Data is riddled throughout this. And the more sensors we get on the job site, the better ability we have to kind of digest and analyze this data, the more we can apply it into our decision making and help to encourage and enforce better models for consumers.
Absolutely. Also on the consumer front, if we look at what the experience and engagement looks like with them, I think livability, attainability, connectivity, and health are going to remain top of mind. A lot of trends accelerated this year, and I think they'll continue to live on and grow far beyond the pandemic. Just things that we should be asking for ourselves. And for example, we're going to see continuing financial strains on, on the working and middle class, allowing us really to focus more on the missing middle housing types, the stuff that Dan Paralak has been talking about in the book he just released, as well as multi-generation housing, like what we've seen in California, with the urban townhouse concept. And other types of multi-gen housing, as well as certainly build to rent. So it's a model that makes sense for the builder, and it's also a model that makes a lot of sense for the consumer, as well as the ability to work and learn from home. This year it was kind of a pain in the ass, frankly, but I think people are going to require it moving forward. I think, obviously a lot of things are changing with businesses where things are shifting to more of a work from home or even a work from anywhere model. But that's going to require us to have more innovative and adaptive floor plans. And, when we were out in Austin a couple of weeks ago at Whisper Valley, just the whole aspect of having the internet, high-speed internet as a fifth utility, I think is going to become an expectation. People are going to expect the same level of connectivity at home, working at home and school at home, as they might have had, in a work setting. It's going to kind of be required to support their everyday lives. And ultimately, I think everybody's going to be seeking greater value per square foot. Not everyone will go down in the amount of square footage they want, but they're going to expect the square footage of their space to do more for them from a livability standpoint. You would have said probably 6 months ago, most people didn't know what a MERV filter was. Now people are actively asking builders and communities what they're doing for indoor air quality. So I think, health and wellness was already a trend. People are going to be expecting it to be integrated in their homes and their communities moving forward in the same way that energy efficiency has been. So I think that's going to shift as a key focus moving forward. And we've already seen a lot of builders and developers moving in that direction. And then finally, on-demand tech-enabled home configuration, selecting materials, sales, even customer service. When something breaks, being able to get somebody on demand immediately there to satisfy your need and do it safely and quickly, I think it has become a necessity over the last several months, but it's going to become an expectation. The way that we're all driven to seek out things, to make our lives easier, like the Ubers, like the Grubhubs, which I had this morning. So I think we're all going to expect technology to be much more at the forefront of the customer experience in the same way that it is for other consumer goods and housing moving forward. And I know there's a lot of things changing on the home delivery process as well. What are your thoughts in that area, Dennis?
Yeah, so this is an area that we've been strongest in since we started, right? So I think, and you hit it earlier, it's all about the people, process, and technology that drive this element of the business. I think we're going to continue to see a search for optimization and removing the inefficiencies of the system, and that's going to come through new building materials, new building systems, and new delivery models overall, from an offsite moving offsite versus onsite. I think we're going to see a lot more merger and acquisition activity as groups look to capture value in the delivery chain.
Right.
And I think we need to be looking at labor a little differently, right? So you're going to see an emergence of what we call super trades. I think we're also going to have to contextualize workforce development to make it meaningful for the next generation. And if you look at the supply chain, and we move more from an on-site to off-site delivery model, there's going to be a lot more build direct relationships between parties in the supply chain. And I think that's going to help to create some added value as well and remove some unnecessary markup. Now, when we think about how all these parties work together in the chain, there's the opportunity to also have a win-win relationship where it's more of a, let's say, a collective sprint towards the finish line versus a relay race where one's handing off the baton to another. So I think there's a lot of exciting things happening in the home delivery space, and there's a lot of commonalities that we've identified, both in, we started out with the business side and we look at how we serve the pain points with the consumers and what are the ultimate delivery models that achieve that. I think that digitization keeps coming
Mhm.
through, right? It's riddled throughout that piece. Really having end-to-end visibility of what we're doing, and to the point of, from the minute the consumer picks exactly what they want, how we best deliver it in a particular situation. And then ways of leveraging the technology and tools that are in front of us and the enhanced connectivity across the job site to improve communication amongst all stakeholder groups, I think is going to be really important.
And, we look at I would consider these screens for us anytime we're trying to work with someone to tell a story or we're digging into a particular topic. We're looking to see how collaboration plays out, how digitization plays out. They're not really silos, they're things that we really need to think about, as you said, across the business. And I think that's where we get really interesting case studies from people, and ideas that we can build on.